How well does the Harbor Freight's new Roadshock Edge 4 LED lights compare to the equally budget-friendly AUXBEAM V-max 5-inch lights? In this video, we're going to unbox them, field test them, and also measure the lux output against my garage door from the same distance so that you will know how well they stack up against each other. AUXBEAM was kind enough to send me a pair of their new V-max LED lights for me to compare against my Harbor Freight's Roadshock Edge 4 LED lights. I'm going to provide my honest opinion of both of the lights in terms of their beam pattern, what do I think that's best fit for my need, and what's best for your need depending on your need is. Here you're looking at is the AUXBEAM V-max 5-inch round LED lights. The light has a shiny finish. It has a 3-prong plug, which is a little different than what I used to, which is either a 2 or a 4. It's got a polycarbonate lens and alloy aluminum housing. Market price of the light is about $170 a pair on Amazon. However, they always run some kind of deal, such as a $20 deal going on right now, so you can get the lights for about $150. I'll put the link in the description below so you can check them out. It's rated for about 8,220 lumen and the waterproof rating is IP68. All in all, the build quality of the light felt pretty significant, felt pretty good in my hand. For the AUXBEAM, I assume it's majority of the spot pattern given the lack of any additional lens structure to allow it to be flood or other patterns. Therefore, I'm comparing it with my Harbor Freight's 4 LED spot pattern, not the combo. However, I'll do a spot versus combo difference just from the Harbor Freight light to compare those two in the future, so stay tuned for that. Right off the bat, I think Harbor Freight has a much better packaging, at least from the packaging quality materials, and also the Harbor Freight's finishing is a little towards the matte black side instead of the glossy side. I'm not saying which one's better, but personally I think the matte suits my preference better because it's not as shiny in my opinion. You see how the size compare to the AUXBEAM V-max, I think they're very similar in terms of size and the dimension. It will make a very comparable comparison here. Also, you can see that the AUXBEAM has 9 forward-facing LED dial, while the Harbor Freight has 4, and the side shooter Harbor Freight has 2, and AUXBEAM has 3 on each side. Alright, now onto my driveway. We placed the lights against the garage door about around 15 feet away. As you see here, I'm measuring the lux at the hot spot in the middle. I try to aim all the lights at the same spot so it's also very comparable onto the field as well. 9952 Harbor Freight high beam. I'm now measuring the low beam's output since Harbor Freight has 2 modes, a high beam and a low beam. The only difference is that high beam is utilizing the 2 additional spot diode on the top. Harbor Freight low beam 1739. Now we have the AUXBEAM 5-inch V-max. I had it low beam on just to show you what it looks like compared to the stock low beam, and now I'm measuring just the AUXBEAM's output. 3959. Now I'm stacking images of all 3 lights together so you have a side-by-side comparison and easily tell the difference. I want to point out several things. First, as you see here right behind the Jeep on the garage door, you can see that for the Harbor Freight it has separate hot spots, where the AUXBEAM has 1 consistent hot spot spread across the garage door evenly. The second thing I noticed is the beam width. As you see here, Harbor Freight's beam width is much wider compared to the AUXBEAM ones. This landscape sign is much brighter from the Harbor Freight light than from the AUXBEAM. However, while the Harbor Freight may have the widest beam width, AUXBEAM is still better in terms of the evenly distributed hotspot. As pointed out here by the Jeep's rear wheel, you can clearly see that the illumination of the AUXBEAM is much brighter by the wheels than the Harbor Freight ones. Now we're coming to the field. I'm labeling all the lights that's currently on with a light bulb in front of it so you have an idea of what's going on the screen. I'm showing you what the low beam, high beam, and the fog light looks like so that you have a baseline to compare against. Alright, now we have the AUXBEAM V-max. Keep in mind the tree line is about 350 to 400 yards away. Although the beam pattern is not as wide as a Harbor Freight, it's still wider than the Diode Dynamics SS3 fog light. Now we have the Harbor Freight high beam. And now we're switching to low beam. The additional 2 diode on the top for the spot beam, however the spot further away from the vehicle is a little bit narrower than I would like, and I think it has a little bit of a gap between the high beam and the wide beam from the same light. There's a darker area in the middle, or 45 degrees to each direction. Well, for the AUXBEAM, it's definitely not having that gap between the midfield and the spot beam. However, the spot beam of the AUXBEAM is not as strong, as bright as the Harbor Freight spot high beam mode. Here I'm putting the Harbor Freight high beam and AUXBEAM side by side. In my opinion, if you're looking for the maximum width of the light, definitely go with Harbor Freight. However, if you're looking for something that has a good amount of spread, evenly spread in the middle, right in front of the vehicle all the way down the road, I would say AUXBEAM is a very strong contender. Now comparing the Harbor Freight low beam to AUXBEAM. So without the super spot diode being turned on, I believe the spot pattern here is inferior to the AUXBEAM. However, it still retains its super wide beam, which now I know that the low beam's purely contributing to the super wide beam, and that high beam just assisting the spot in the middle. So I'm really shocked about how good the AUXBEAM is compared to the Harbor Freight. As everyone knows, or as most of you may already seen my previous videos, I've extensively tested the Harbor Freight's new light Roadshock Edge 6 lights compared to the Baja's, fake Baja LP6s, AUXBEAM's 5D Pro, other budget-friendly lights. However, I always gather from the data from my testing the Harbor Freight 6 LED was a better all-around lights. However, after this test that I'm done today, I believe you're looking for a smaller form light, not the 6 LED ones, but maybe 4 to 5 inch ones. It's such a very close comparison. I like Harbor Freight lights. However, for this size segment, 4 to 5 inch lights, I believe AUXBEAM is even cheaper and still be able to achieve very similar results, performances with the Harbor Freight 4 LED lights. If you have not watched my previous Harbor Freight light comparison and testings, please check them out. I'll provide the link right here. Thank you so much. Have a good one.